Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Who's Chris Quack?
Good. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is 6:03. I'm in chambers with Councillors Bain, Abbott, and Cunliffe, and attending with us in chambers tonight is CAO DeJohn and Municipal Coordinator Rick, and joining with us virtually is Public Works Manager Jaffer. I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll be going to the closed section shortly. And the proposed topic for discussion in the absence of the public are land matters, legal matters, contractual matters, and intergovernmental relations matters. And the meeting will be closed to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of the community charter, and where required, the council does consider that the matters could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality if they were held in public. And those sections would be section 91, D, E, F, G, I, J, K, and N, and also section 90, subsection 2B. Council anticipates reconvening the meeting to discuss the balance of the agenda after the close, and as such may report out. Councillors, are you in favor of the reasons for going into in camera?
Yes.
Thank you, Carrie, and we'll say goodbye to the gallery, and we'll see you at 7. Good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock. I'm in chambers with Councillors Bain, Abbott, and Cunliffe, along with CAO DeJohn and Municipal Coordinator Rick. We have members in the virtual gallery and a couple of members in the live gallery. Council has just come back from the closed portion of the meeting and has the following to report out before we begin with the agenda. And reporting out is an information report titled 325 Bayview Road Driveway Bridge Rehabilitation. It will be available to the public now, and it will be in the village update along with a link to it and a small article on Friday. Back to the meeting. I will call the meeting to order and put forward the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Cunliffe, will you second? Any changes, amendments, deletions? CAO, none?
There's an on-table 2-page document that's been circulated to council with respect to the scope of services regarding the traffic engineering analysis, the railway crossing intersections report.
Okay, so we'll consider that part of that. Thank you very much.
And then if I could add as 10A5, just a brief update regarding Bear Smart matters.
Number 5, you have it.
Maybe a little bit of a discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor of the agenda as amended, please confirm by saying yes. Opposed, no. Yes, yes. Right, carried. Thank you. We'll go to the public participation.
And there was one other thing, and that was adding matter for discussion was the scheduling of the next meeting.
Thank you. New business. We could put under new business, scheduling of new meeting. Thank you very much, CIO to John. To the public participation, the live gallery would like to go. You have the floor, whichever one wants to go first.
Can you hear me well enough, or do we need a mic or something?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. Well, good evening. My name is Oliver Gansky. I'm up on Mountain Drive. Thanks for giving me the time here. I'm here to speak about Metro Vancouver's recent agenda from the planning committee that was published yesterday, I believe, which unfortunately has some bad news regarding our application for the regional, the RCP, as well as our application, our intent to get our us removed from the UCB. I mean, these are all topics I believe everyone's familiar with. It is upsetting to see that this comes out last minute. I find the process disturbing that a couple of days before the board is to meet that this becomes public. I'm not quite sure why. I also found it hard to reconstruct based on the fact that Heather McNell had guided us through this on particularly in reference to the fact that it did not require an OCP to change the regional context statement. And in the recommendation from Aaron Rennie, it actually now aims square at an OCP renewal as kind of the pivotal piece to for them to accept a consideration of this. I don't understand how we can go from one realm of guidance to this. It feels a little bit like the goalposts have been changed last minute. And did we miss something? I also surprised there was no communication of this to begin with. Aaron Rennie's letter was dated June 6th. Ron, you and I spoke June 10th regarding Boy Scouts, among other things. So I mentioned the OCP, we talked about this a little bit.
I would say,
Do you know of any of this?
the news you have is the news I have. We were apprised of what was happening on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, it's sad to hear that, unfortunately. I think it speaks to the position that Lions Bay may have, the value in within the realm of Metro Vancouver, which has been our concern regarding the UCB in general. The reasons they state for potentially rejecting this are procedural, which to me, leave one guessing as to where's the meat then. And what I find quite interesting is they in fact recognize that they will use the UCB as a means to further roll out urban-centric bylaws, which are not in the interest of Lions Bay. It's actually in the report. So they understand our problem and our issue, but they fully decide to deny our interests. I think politically, this is a critical issue, considering how many people are behind. I would like to see Ron go to bat for us at Metro meetings, because you're our representative there, and I think this is really critical. And in addition to that, I think we should withdraw our support for the Metro 50 statement, because that was conditional on the fact that this was going to get passed. I think we should look at dispute resolution, which Aaron actually points out in that report, and look at what can be done there. The cost of that is apparently largely borne by Metro and not us. And finally, I think we need to look at alternative relationships, because I think we're not being served well by Metro and being in a relationship with them. So And I think it would be good to look at the SDRD and what benefits we would have from that, and potentially any others. So I'd like to close with that. I think it's politically a really important thing for council and our mayor to pick up, because I think given the statistics that 91% of the respondents voted in favor of rural, and the fact that that amounts to effectively 77% of the last electoral vote, there will be a lot of upset residents if this does not come to fruit. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reuter. And if it's on the same topic, I'll address it when you're done.
Same topic, yes, Marcus Reuter, good evening. I would echo everything that Oliver has said. It's been a kind of a year of hopes and dreams for us on this side of the podium, I imagine, as it has been for you on the other side. And one of those hopes, of course, was that our staff and mayor would carry our precious cargo to Metro to fruition and get it across the finish line. Yet now we at the last minute learn from Metro's Regional Planning Committee that they are recommending that this be denied. It seems like a monstrously perplexing event. We've had senior staff at Metro come here, handhold us through the process, point us the way, and yet we still have this outcome. Questions abound. At this moment, it seems to me the question is, what do we need to do? And it seems to me, Mayor McLaughlin, Ron, if I may, that I would offer that this is a moment of the crossroads for you. You were a late convert to this cause. Your colleagues were on board. You were initially indicating it would suck the air out of council, that you were an outlier, and then you got on board or had an apparent change of heart. Well, from where we stand, it's time to prove that up. You're our representative at Metro. You sit on various Metro boards. You've referred to the relationships and connections that you've made. And I would offer that it's time to cash in on those credits, to work that scene and show us what you can do, because this is where the rubber is going to hit the road. Speaking extemporaneously, I would say it's also time to look into your soul and consider your future and the life of a village. If you have any hope of serving in any public capacity from this moment forward, failure is not an option here. You know what the residents want. This can't be massaged away. The Furies are out there, they're poised, they're ready to unleash retribution and justice, and they need to be appeased. Fortunately, this is an instance where personal self-interest and the greater interest, the public good, are aligned neatly in one package. So I say to you, sir, get busy and bring us home the beef. And I would echo the comments as well, parenthetically, that Oliver made about the conditionality that I noted in the cover letter of our submission to Metro, that we use and exploit that conditionality and withhold our approval of Metro 2050 until such time as they have seen fit to give us what we so richly deserve and what we want and what we have hopefully satisfied all steps on thus far. I'll leave it with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reuter.
Thank you.
CAO, why don't you make a comment and then I'll follow up.
Oh, I don't think anything was addressed to me, but
Okay, well, I'll begin then and I'll let you follow up. The facts are that we've had this in front of Metro for some time. Metro canceled the meeting last month when they could have addressed this then. They didn't. The meeting for this month is on Friday. That meeting, we were advised on Thursday in a draft memo of what the decision was going to be. It's the first inkling we've had of anything contrary to our best hoped for solution. Thanks to the work of our CAO over the weekend, we're now appearing as a delegation on Friday at the meeting. So that's the first step there, and where the board goes, that it is embedded within the report. They recommend a recommendation, which staff does not support, but the mayors and the directors are different thinkers. This is a committee, and their recommendation will go to the board on the last Friday of the month. So the preferred solution is that the directors who sit and opine on the committee are in favor of the switch for Lions Bay to rural. So we'll be pointing out everything that both of you have so far, along with several of our own points. The primary one being we've kind of been led to where we are now, and it comes as everybody as a surprise as to where they're going. With respect to my personal view, Oliver's correct. I, and you are too, Marcus, I represent Lions Bay, and in this council, and as certainly everyone will respect hearty discussion whether you oppose something or not, when that vote is cast, we all go in the same direction. And from the minute that vote was cast, I put nothing but good work towards this, and I would name Councillor Abbott in particular and the CAO for putting a lot of heavy lifting into this. I hope we can bring this home at the planning meeting, and our second chance will be at the directors meeting. Council will be going into in-camera to address a bit more of our strategy afterwards. I can't tell you any more than that.
And say, I hope some of that strategy would address the Metro 2050 subject.
I don't want to say anything on that topic just now.
All right.
So if you're fine with that, thank you both for coming, and we've got some time more. So if the gallery member wants to come forward, you can unmute unless you're rushing it all at the same time. Mr. Sredsky, if you would unmute, you can turn your camera on or off, whichever you prefer. Thank you. You have the floor, Mr. Sredsky.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor, I wanted to address the issue that continues since you took reins voluntarily for this council. And the issue is with the secret meetings, so-called in-camera meetings. 2/3 of the meetings happen behind closed doors, obviously organized by your administrator and yourself. We're not very comfortable with that. You suggested you provide reports to it. Those reports are nowhere to be seen, so I would like you to officially ask to provide at least 10 reports from last closed meetings in a principle. What actually takes place behind those closed doors? And why do we have so many? This is 10 times fold to any other council. So outstanding position. We have a secrecy #1 in Lions Bay. Also, I or some other residents just the same, waiting for a report from this Whistler conference that if I can quote you exactly, it was escape from work and family on Lions Bay money. Would we get some results from that conference, or was it just a joke on all of us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bredsky, I'll address the first part. Firstly, council is guided by our corporate officer as to reasons why we would go into in-camera, and those reasons are read aloud before we go in-camera at the start of every meeting. And it's part of our community charter, and the reasons that they are chosen are for a variety of reasons relative to the village's affairs, which should be kept confidential. So that's the first one, and that's the foundation of all municipalities. It's not Lions Bay, it's not that we're extra secretive, there's reasons that we go in, maybe there for some time, we may not. So on to this one, no, I will not be looking forward to, I will not be giving you reports. But what I would suggest is that if you follow through our agenda package and you go to page 33 of 244, we report out what we can in these closed meetings. Perhaps that has escaped you in the past, but I can see that I'm counting the bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items that we reported out. And we'll conclude that matter. Councillor Cunliffe, you have a response?
So I'll apologize. They did not get a report together, but you can look and see the minutes of the conference and all the resolutions. And if you look in the correspondence this evening, there are several letters from municipalities on resolutions that were passed and will be put towards the UBCM in September. And for next meeting, I will have a more thorough report for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Skresky. If there's another speaker, we've got time for one more. Mr. Shore, you've got the floor. You can unmute. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm wondering, it's more of a question than a comment or anything, but I'm wondering if there's some data that's been collected by the office that is relative to expenditures from other municipalities. Call it comparable data or benchmarks. It's kind of difficult to find municipalities that really are exactly similar to Lions Bay, but there are some, pardon me, that are similar enough. You know that I've been speaking up about expenditures, and it's difficult to know exactly what should be spent. And I think if there was some comparable data that the office has been accumulating that they could share, then it may actually alleviate some of the concerns that we have around the amount of spending that we're doing. So question, is there benchmark data, comparable data, key metrics that the office has accumulated, and would they be able to share some of that with us?
Thank you very much for your question. I can do a partial answer and I'll hand it back to the CAO. I know that I've had this conversation with CFO Rook. It's unfortunate she's on furlough now, otherwise she'd be responding it. It's an item that council has brought forward to staff before. There's only a couple of comparisons that really would make sense. The logical ones are Anmore and Belcarra. And I think it was her intention that when she had some time to put a little bit of work towards that. And I can't tell you any more, but when I speak with her next, I'll make mention of it. CAO, do you have any further comment?
Well, I know that in previous conversations on the topic, even trying to establish comparables with a community like Anmore, there are difficulties and complications in trying to do that, and you really have to dig deep and actually have conversations and get data from the other municipality and ask questions about what you get. And it's not a simple apples to apples kind of thing to do. It's usually apples and oranges, and unless you're a big municipality and of a certain population and a certain financial budget. But it isn't that simple, and there's, especially with small municipalities, because a lot of the roles and functions are either worn by people with wearing many hats, or alternatively are contracted out. And when they're contracted out, then they kind of go into different areas of the financial statements. And I think I better pause because we might just lose our. Okay. Okay. Sorry, we're gonna run out of battery there. But we'll certainly have that conversation with Ms. Brooke when she gets back, and have a discussion about what kind of information we are able to share, and maybe what some of the complications and challenges are, and trying to make those kinds of comparisons so that we can share with you what we do have, and identify those areas that are challenges to establish baselines. So I understand what you're saying and what you're asking for. It seems reasonable. It's just not necessarily that easy to do, but we'll take a look, David.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shore. We'll go one more because I see Mr. Leeson. If you can speak, and if you are unmuted, you're good, sir. You've got the floor.
Oh, hi, thank you. Yeah, I just joined a bit late, but again, I was just wanting a little bit of I missed the follow-up of the urban containment boundary, again, expressing my my support to be removed is really just what I wanted to table here. So that's about it.
Thank you very much. And that's the same support that all of council has the same view of. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Leeson. All right, that'll conclude the public portion of the participation portion of the meeting, and we'll go to public delegation. And we invite Ruth Simons to come forward, and her topic will be the House on Biosphere Region Initiative Society.
Good evening, Council. I am here as a representative of the House Sound Biosphere Region Initiative Society. I'm an executive director and also president. We were incorporated in 2017, and our purpose at that time was to lead our nomination for the UNESCO designation, which we've since done. Part of the success of our UNESCO designation is the fact that for many years, communities around House Sound have come together, in the spirit of the principles for cooperation, and in the House Sound Community Forum. The House Sound Community Forum was formed back in 2000, and Lions Bay, Village of Lions Bay, as well as all the other communities around the Sound and the 3 regional districts have been great participants. And many good things have come from the forum. So you wanted me to come back to be able to answer some questions or speak publicly about the request for several things. First is on the reason for coming at this time before the councils is that succession for the House Sound Community Forum, the House of Biosphere Initiative is on our minds. I've been a volunteer and I've been doing this for quite a long time. So I'm looking forward to 2023 and beyond, or 2022 and beyond, to making sure that there is stability and ongoing support for the House Sound Community Forums, as well as there's enough capacity to host them. So there's, first of all, the question of just asking councils for their ongoing support of the principles for cooperation. This document was created in, I thought it was a really wonderful document at the time in 2000. It was a way for the communities all to express their shared values, and basically there was not a decision-making body, but a body that comes together to share mutual concerns about how sound, because there is no, there's so many overlapping jurisdictions. So since they were written, we've now, there's track changes in the document. They were revised in 2014, so now we revised them to reflect current times and the role of the Biosphere organization in convening the forums. So that's the first question. Is request is if council has any questions or otherwise supports the changes that were brought to the forum in April. The second.
Can I just ask a question on that, Ruth? So the council, not this council, a previous council actually adopt this document prior to the change.
Yes.
And the only changes are the ones you highlighted. So purely the language around the relations with First Nations that have changed. Everything else has previously been adopted by council.
The other piece that's in there is a specific recognition of the House Sound Biosphere Initiative as the conveners of the forums.
Okay. The rest stuff is adopted.
Everything that's in yellow is changed.
Okay, right.
But those are the two material changes. Yeah. If council is okay with those changes, then we're just asking for a letter of support. I have provided an example of whether we can use as a template.
Councilors, any other questions for Ms. Simons? Mrs. Simons? There being none, I would, expecting your support, I'll put forward a motion that council provide a letter of support for the updated House on Community Forum principles for cooperation. And secondly, council commits to co-host a House on Community Forum with Metro Vancouver Area A in 2025. And thirdly, council supports via a memorandum of understanding with the House on Biosphere Region Initiative Society as submitted. Councillor Tunley, we put that forward. Councillor Abbott, will you second?
Sure, I'll second.
Any discussion, councillors? None, call a motion. All those in favor, please confirm by saying yes.
Sorry, just one question. I just want to put a little context and make a little statement about why I asked that question earlier. I personally have a little bit of discomfort with NGOs that are usually climate environmental focused groups that then read into their procedure, their policies, whatever, much bigger social issue, because I think you lose along the way part of the audience. Where I, for example, would be wholeheartedly, completely, 100% in favor of all the environmental issues. When some of the more social issues get in, and maybe I'm a fiscal conservative. It becomes more and more awkward, and that's why I asked that. But given that those things have all been approved by previous council, I'm not going to bring them up for discussion. That was just the context of that question. And it was all around the other stuff that's in the UNESCO 17 principles and all these much bigger social issues around the world. I think, House Unbiased did a great job, fantastic. Save our sounds, save us funds, save us the fish. That should be the thing. That's the context of that question that I'm in favor.
Yeah, I've been seen and identified as that person for many years because I've evolved with the different organizations. So currently I am wholeheartedly representing the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals and aim to strike the balance. But our focus and where most of our work goes is in biodiversity conservation. But welcome to any questions anytime.
Call a motion. All those in favor, confirm by saying yes.
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 Carried. Thank you very much for all of your good work.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you very much. With council's blessing, I see we've got two people in the gallery with hands up. And now we're going backwards, but I, for one, have 4 minutes. If that's fine with everybody else. Good, thank you. So we'll go left to right for me. And so it'd be Tamara, if you want to unmute, you'll have the floor for 2 minutes. And then we'll be followed by Chris. And if you could tell us how to say your last name when you come on board. So Tamara, you don't have to turn your camera on, but you're unmuted. You have the floor now.
Okay. I actually have a question for Mayor and Council. It is around the proposal that Council received a mandate from the community to go to Metro and to move us from a urban designation to a rural designation in order to be able to have our fireplace burning allowed. But I know that it's much more complex than that. But just in reading briefly the agenda, it is my understanding, and I'm hoping you can clarify, that this has this was to be spearheaded by you, Ron, as mayor, and also CAO Peter De Jong, to take this to Metro on behalf of the community and council, and spearhead this resolution, I guess, to their board. And now I think it seems to me, I could have this wrong, but that due to a fatally flawed written resolution or proposal coming from Lions Bay, seems to have fallen flat at the board level for Metro, so that Metro is now proposing to their board, or not recommending to their board, that they allow this vote to even happen. So they're recommending that the vote not take place, when in fact it seemed initially, when they came to speak in Lions Bay, I think it was like 2 years ago, it seemed like a really simple process once Lions Bay decided to make this move. I'm hoping that you can clarify and comment about this, because this is coming up fast and furious. Like, this is happening, I think, this week, isn't it? So I'm kind of panicked. And I'm really looking to be reassured that I probably have it wrong. It's probably been perfectly written, and it's all buttoned down, and it's ready to go for a reading and a vote, and we can have closure on this issue. So thank you for the time, and I'm really hoping to have some answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was, I think you came on just a little bit late. A couple of the presenters had pretty much said as you have. I'll give you the quick story of it. Our overtures to Metro were with their guidance to achieve a positive solution. Our paperwork has been in with them for some time now. Last month, they canceled their planning committee meeting. The committees in planning, or whether it's Indigenous relations or climate action, make recommendations to the board. I'm on a variety of committees. I'm also a director of board member. So the planning committee did not meet last month when our paperwork was in. They are meeting this Friday. They did not advise us of the staff's recommendation until Thursday afternoon when a draft copy was sent to CAO DeJong. Needless to say, it wasn't what we expected from them, or quite candidly, Tamara, it was contrary to the guidance they'd given us. So CAO DeJong and I will be attending in one way or another on Friday, CAO DeJong as a delegate. And so that information went in on Sunday so that it could be put forward to Metro. The fact that they were so slow that while they should have posted their stuff last week, they didn't post the agenda until mid-afternoon yesterday. So I'll just stop here and say that anybody sitting in this room, whether you're elected staff or a member of the gallery or the virtual gallery, we're not happy with what staff has put forward, and we have strong counter arguments why it should be changed. Embedded within the staff report is that Lions Bay request is approved. So that will be the objective on Friday at the committee meeting. So the committee will opine whatever they do, and that will go forward to the larger board, the board meeting on the last Friday of the month, which I certainly will be there. I will have, to use one of the expressions, cashed in every chip, taken every card out of my pocket that I can over the past 4 years to obtain the right decision for Lions Bay. It is the right decision for Lions Bay. Everybody.
I agree. I'm just wondering if perhaps mayor and council cannot appeal to the Ministry of Municipal Governance and get their help in crafting a solution. So if it's simply a fatally flawed resolution, that they pull in their people on it so that it goes forward, because it's the will of the people and it's a democracy and you represent us, and it shouldn't be stymied for bureaucratic reasons. I do agree that it does need to be written absolutely correctly and all the data needs to be perfect, but perhaps this is we need extra help within the government mechanisms that are there to help democracy prevail. And this sounds like there's a bureaucratic glitch. And I just don't, I think that I'm appealing to mayor and council to bubble it up and get some help, both from a perspective of crafting something as well as pushing something forward, so that the bureaucrats need to help instead of hinder the democratic process of the will of the people of Lions Bay.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Tamara. Chris, you've got the floor for 2 minutes. You'll unmute.
Thank you. Good evening. I appreciate the time. My last name is Hill, actually. Kawak is a spirit name, a medicine name that I carry. I just wanted to ask or inquire or maybe table a couple things here locally. One is I live up in the upper Kelvin Grove Way area, and the off-ramp going northbound as you exit the highway has been rather concerning for me and my family, and I'm sure other residents. I've almost been T-boned 3 times in the last month from people exiting that ramp and not stopping. And I'm not, an expert on the matter, and I don't know what the ultimate solution is, but perhaps a small flashing light or a larger stop sign or something. Heaven forbid for anyone to get hit. Had I been hit one time on one of those occasions, my son probably would have been killed had I not seen the person coming through. So something to really consider on that. Garbage is down at the beaches. I'm sure it's on everyone's radar. We need more garbage receptacles, preferably bear-proof containers down there. What we have does not suffice, and especially during the high seasons. And not only that, but it would be helpful. I don't know, you know, what the budget has available for extra time or workers or what have you, if we need people to empty them more regularly during the weekend and the high seasons, but it's definitely an issue. And it's been coming up a lot lately. And my last thing, of course, would just to echo Tamara's concern and to wish you all, to empower you and to wish you the best of luck in moving this forward on behalf of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Great, and so that'll conclude the public portion for the second time. So we'll now move to the review and approval of minutes. And the regular council meeting minutes of June 21st be approved and circulated. Councillor Bain, will you put that forward?
Yep.
Councillor Cunliffe, will you second?
Second.
Any changes, amendments, deletions, petitions? I have none. Anybody?
No.
Call a motion. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Call the motion. All those in favor of the minutes as recorded, confirm by saying yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carried. Next is the special meeting of June 27th. And the motion is that the meeting minutes of June 27th be approved as circulated. Councillor Abbott, would you put that forward?
I will put it forward.
Councillor Cunliffe, will you second? Any changes, amendments, deletions, petitions? I have none. Nobody? Nobody. Call the motion. All those in favor, confirm by saying yes.
Yes.
Carried. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. I think we're living it every day now. I have none. Councillor Abbott, any?
No, I do not.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business. I'll zip through this. I think the first one is Mr. Jaffer on the rail crossing. I think we can knock that one off now.
Sorry, correct. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll be talking about that later. The next one is the CN vegetation program. CAO. I don't imagine there's anything new. Thank you. We'll hang on with that. Next one is mine, BC Timber Sales Spraying. I have written and followed up with Commissioner Doug Ravolny. I haven't got a response back from him. Since I'll be seeing him on Friday, I'll be asking him to his face when I can expect a response to assist us. The aim being here that rather than Lions Bay taking on the province, it would be a lot easier if Lions Bay and the rest of the North Shore and other municipalities were wrapped up with Metro and they fought the good fight for us. So that will stay. The House Sound Forum, we've concluded that. That can come off, municipal coordinator. And a response to Mr. Dunn, that is out as well. So we can cross that off. Something Mr. Shore said resonated with me, and I'm sure it does with council, that while it doesn't have to be done, we've got one more meeting before we go to summer break. I think I would like to put on as unfinished business. And perhaps CAO, you can help me with the crafting of what this is. It would be the municipal financial comparatives. And staffing financial, I'm leaving it vague until the CFO comes back. But I don't want it lost.
Yeah, I think I indicated that we'll look at what we have and what we can share and try to assist with that information.
Okay, so let's just put it as an unfinished piece and it'll come forward when it does. Thank you very much. Next piece.
Yep. Just one question. In response to Mr. Dunn, was that on the highway paving? That was the question there?
Yes.
Okay.
What was
Is that the end of this discussion? I mean, I'm sure that some of us still believe, we're going to keep beating the drum somehow on the maintenance side of the quiet paving, which is now noisy paving. What else can we do?
Well, I mean, to the best of our knowledge, according to what we've been told, they have been performing the applicable maintenance by vacuuming, sweeping the highway during whatever series of timelines they're supposed to. The big question is when will they replace it and repave it? And that they're going to be looking at their 2023 project capital budget this fall, and we've asked that they, that Modi ensure that there's a professional noise level study done, and that is all taken into account because, as we've been expressing for some time now, have grave concerns about the.
Yeah, so I think we all know it's deteriorated to the point that it doesn't perform anymore, and clearly it's not performing. So I just wanted to make sure that, it doesn't get lost, that we somehow keep it on the radar. Because typically they, if we don't keep it squeaking, they're not going to oil that wheel.
Might I suggest, Councillor Abbott, that we also put that on unfinished business?
I think we should.
Let's just do highway maintenance highway maintenance follow-up. If we could do that. And I mean, the province has said they're going to be reviewing this in the fall. I think, if I remember what it was. So I think it's an important enough topic, and it comes up not often, but let's say every 8 months or so. And Mr. Dunn did some good work. Let's just keep this on here as under that topic, and we'll call that as a staff follow-up too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. Okay, CEO, you're good with that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next piece is the staff reports, and it's the sewage outfall notice of renewal. And the recommendation is 1, that the application for an outfall right-of-way for the Kelvin Grove Sewer Treatment Plant to replace the existing right-of-way be approved. 2, that the statutory right-of-way Crown Land BAP 16038 RP be approved. And 3, that the mayor and chief financial officer be authorized to execute the required right-of-way documentation on behalf of the village of Lions Bay. Councillor Fenlon, will you put that forward?
Yes.
Councillor Bain, will you second?
Yep.
You've got a report here. Anything you want to highlight for us, Mr. DeJohn?
Yeah, I think it's all pretty straightforward. Sort of the biggest inquiry we had at our end for staff was looking into what's required for the certificate of insurance, and got that figured out. As between what the ministry accepts from MIABC, and so it's basically a renewal of our statutory right of way for the sewer outfall, and just filling in the documentation, providing them what they need, and putting forward the application. So this is a confirmation that you want staff to continue down the path that we've been going down for, when did we put this in, a year or two ago?
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay. So it's coming to a head shortly, and this is sort of the last step along the way. And then within another couple of months, we expect to hear back in the fall.
Yeah, I would add that it's vital for our sewer treatment plant that we get this signed.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any questions? No?
Yeah, I've got an observation. Page 40. I just laid the math's wrong. So I suggest we pay the correct amount. It should be $1 plus tax, and then $200 plus tax should come to $211.05, not $210.
Yeah, I picked up on that as well.
Yeah, so we paid them.
We all of our contracts are like that. Yeah.
Still bargain. I'll take the price, but probably paying the right amount.
No further questions? No. Call a motion. All those in favor, please confirm by saying yes. Opposed, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Next piece is Mr. Jaffer, his request on the awarding of traffic engineering analysis of railway crossing intersections. And the recommendation is the council award the traffic engineering analysis of railway crossing intersections in Lions Bay in the amount of $17,045, and authorize the mayor and CAO to execute a contract substantially in the same form as attached to this council report. Councillor Abbott, will you put that forward, please?
Sure.
Councillor Bain, will you second?
Yep.
It's a pretty clear report. Mr. Jaffer, anything you'd like to add?
No, just to summarize, we've been ordered by Transport Canada Rail Safety to remove the stop signs at our crossings. We have argued that we need engineering study to reassess each of the intersections, and essentially this is what this is for. My apologies, the scope of service for this work was not included in the package. I believe it's being brought on table by CAO De Jong.
So that's been distributed to council. And sets out the background information that was provided to the proponents and the requirements that need to be met and the request for information and proposals in order to address the numbered issues that are required in order to review all three crossings. So background information, meet with staff, review site conditions, identify traffic and safety concerns, and recommended traffic control configurations to address safety concerns, review traffic operations for each location, and prepare schematic drawings and summarized assessments and findings and recommendations as to why the stop sign should or should not remain, so that we can submit that to Transport Canada. And of the proponents, as indicated in the report, the low bid, meeting all the conditions, was from ISL Engineering in the amount of $17,045 for that report.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillors, any other questions? None?
Don't have questions. I do have something to say on it. We're open to discussion. I'll take this time. Liz?
Yep.
Okay. I continue to be frustrated by the whole premise of this thing. They're talking here that you won't stop at a traffic light. And the situation seems to be that they think we are putting a stop sign to stop people crossing a railway track. That's not what we're doing. Stop sign would be there whether there was a railway track there or not. With the exception of Kelvin Grove, the stop signs are there because of the other things that are going on in the intersection. In Lions Bay Avenue, you're coming out of the marina up a hill, blind rise, or you're going down the marina, you're coming up Lions Bay Avenue, blind rise, three roads meeting each other. It's nothing to do with the railway track. So I remain frustrated that we have to spend $17,000 for something I just find so obvious. That being said, Brunswick Beach, it has arms and signals. So if we took the sign away, I understand that, take the signs away, they have other measures to protect you from hits in a railway car. But you don't have any measures to protect people that, coming into Brunswick, that don't know the area, looking for parking, that may be speeding through that intersection and someone else coming the other way. However, I don't think it's the worst one in the world. And maybe we could do away with the sign. That's what we have to do rather than pay this kind of money for engineering. Kelvin Grove, yeah, do away with the sign. I don't even think it's a safety hazard. But Lions Bay Avenue definitely needs some sort of traffic management there, railway track or not. And then the other thing is we're about to do something with the Lions Bay connector, which could involve a pedestrian walkway down there, potentially a crossing down there. So until we decide what we do with the connector, we shouldn't be wasting the money anyway. So I think we should put this whole thing on the back burner. I don't know if there's a way to do civil disobedience of the municipality. Is it municipal disobedience and just ignore the request for a while and leave the signs in place? That would be my recommendation. So A, we sort out what we do with the connector, And B, on the other two, I would take the signs away before I pay $15,000 per network. Two-thirds of $17,000, $12,000 to know the answer. It's my opinion.
Thank you very much. Mr. John, Mr. Jaffer, any comments?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been ordered by Transport Canada to remove those stop signs. They are on CN right of way, and they are in contravention of the existing regulations. Our argument for leaving them in place was that we were going to engage with traffic engineers to review those intersections. And if the stop signs were deemed warranted, there is a clause within the grade crossing that allow for traffic studies to countermand that. And if there isn't a valid reason for those stop signs, then the engineers would be reviewing the intersections and controlling traffic on our portion of land to make those intersections safe. So whether the marina has a stop sign at the exit of their driveway, or whether people on the northbound spur of Brunswick Beach have to stop before they come to that intersection, those are the things that the traffic engineers will be looking at and making recommendations on.
But no, normally you would just make that recommendation yourself. We don't get an engineer for every intersection in the village.
For straightforward issues, yes. However, there is a liability there. If there is a crash, if we don't have it engineered by traffic engineers, then we are taking on a liability. So typically, I would always like to get an engineer to review, particularly when you're talking about a complicated intersection that has a railway crossing right adjacent to it and no other form of traffic control measures or pedestrian measures at all.
Councillor Bain, any questions, comments? Councillor Cullen?
Well, just a comment. I suppose it's more of a lament than a comment, but it just seems we're in a day and age nowadays where common sense is taking the back seat and we have to have a qualified professional thinking for us. Public Works Manager's points are valid. I understand the liability and all this, but we spend an awful lot of money on consultants.
There you go.
Sort of a rock and a hard place, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any final comments? I call a motion.
Yeah, I just took one other concern. I'm concerned that it's not like if we spend this money, we're going to get the outcome we want. The reasons, that need to be looked at are traffic speeds, traffic volumes, sight lines, and collision history. You don't prove something of those, then the chances are we're going to pay $17,500, whatever the number is, I've lost it. And we're just going to be money wasted. We're not going to get the outcome we want.
No, what you're going to get is you're going to get a recommendation on how to control those intersections without a stop sign. So who has the right of way at Lions Bay Avenue? Is it marina traffic? Is it traffic coming from the north on Lions Bay Avenue? Is it traffic coming down Lions Bay Avenue? So how do you control those traffic, that traffic? Who has to stop? Who has to yield? Those are the questions that the engineer will answer. And the same for Brunswick. If you're coming north on Brunswick towards the railway crossing, or if you're coming from the south on Brunswick towards the railway crossing, who has the right of way? Who can go first? Who has to wait? Those are important and vital questions that we need answered if the stop signs are to be removed. So regardless of whether we get our way or not, we need those questions answered.
And does it make sense to answer it on Lions Bay Avenue if this connector project's going ahead?
It does, because the connector project terminates just before the railway crossing. So, and irrespective of the connector project, the crossing and the stop signs and the traffic issue for that intersection have to be addressed. And they're not they're not included in the scope of the connector project.
Just one other observation. It says here that Lions Bay Avenue and Brunswick Beach crossings may see 5,000 crossings in both directions per day. That number is astounding. It can't possibly be right.
That number is based on the traffic counters that we installed over the summer last year and over the COVID pandemic.
5,000 per day.
That's correct. You have 18,000 visitors up at sunset over the course of 3 months. So Lions Bay Avenue has a lot of traffic, not just visitors to the park, but also traffic to and from the marina.
Let's just.
So I'll really go. But no, 5,000 a day. If you had a 15-hour day of traffic, that's 350 cars an hour on average, which is around 500 cars at peak. It's impossible. Anyway, I didn't price it based on the number of cars that were coming through the intersection. That might explain 17 grand. That's a huge number of cars. Anyway, yes, move along. You're going to tell me I said enough.
Well, the data is the data. It does seem like a big number. And I know I contribute to it because I must go down to the marina twice a day. So I'm sure more than my number, but there we go. All right. Any further questions for the works manager? No, call the motion. All those in favor confirm by saying yes, opposed no.
Unfortunately, yes.
Councillor Bain.
Well, I guess I have to agree with it begrudgingly, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Carried.
feet to the fire.
Thank you.
Were you a no?
What was another?
Thank you. Next one, Public Works Manager. We'll give you a second to get warmed up. And this is the information report on the drinking water quality. And the recommendation is that the annual 2021 annual drinking water quality report be received, and 2, that the 2021 annual drinking water quality report be made available on the municipal website. Councillor Bain, will you put that forward?
Yep.
Councillor Abbott, will you second, please?
So,
Yes. Public Works Manager, good report. Good synopsis. Anything you'd like to tell us?
No, it's pretty straightforward. The water quality in Lions Bay for 2021 met all the federal and provincial requirements.
And our homegrown expert, Mr. Grebel's already got his fingerprints on this.
Correct. He assisted in reviewing the report before it was sent to Vancouver Coastal Health.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any questions?
I have a comment.
Councillor Bain.
If I've been away for a week or so or longer, one of the first things I do when I get in the house is have a drink of water out of our taps. I think it's a reflection on how well our water is maintained. It's excellent. We've been all over North America and I don't find anybody's water tastes better than ours. And I think it's how it's managed. Right.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. And do pass on to the staff as well too.
Will do.
They're the ones who are in the trenches. Thank you very much, Councillor Abbott.
Yep, couple of comments. Now on page 106. These spikes in the bacterial or the total coliform count in E. coli. Looking at it, it looks like it correlates to the hiking season. Is there any way of confirming what impact the hikers are having?
It's kind of hard to correlate. I mean,
talking on magnesia, obviously, which is the bigger one, but it seems that Harvey has similar kind of spike, but magnesia definitely seems to have these spikes when we have large volumes of hikers going through the watershed.
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, and the only way to prove it's human contamination is to do caffeine tests. So you basically sample the water for caffeine, and if there's caffeine present, it's indicative of human a human presence. Otherwise, it's just fecal coliform that could be from animals. Yeah. I mean, we have hikers in March, April, and May, and June, and the numbers are relatively low at those times.
Yeah, as of the hikers numbers lower, we're hiring August, July, August, September. So, and the reason I'm asking that question is the plan that we're supposed to develop with Flynn Road for watershed protection. Do we have a deadline on this, and when do we actually have to get it done? Is it partly Flynn Road that are dragging their heels? What's the situation?
No, I would say more it's our workload. There isn't a deadline. We're working with Vancouver Coastal Health on a variety of fronts, but it is gradually being bumped up higher on the priority list.
Okay, so you don't, do you have an expectation when you think you're going to get it done?
To be honest, no. Peter, I don't know if you have any thoughts.
No, I think that's something that we need to look at in terms of our strategic planning for the upcoming year, and what kind of resources we're going to need in order to devote to that, in order to make it happen.
We have reached out to the medical health officer for some guidance on what's required. So we'll, like Peter says, we'll probably be in a better position in the fall to address this at the strategic planning session.
Okay. One last observation on top of page 108. There's this assumption that 9,000 hikers took the range to Tunnel Bluffs out of 15,000, and then it says the balance presumably continued up to the land. I would argue that presumption is probably not too accurate, because most locals that walk the loop go to that point and then walk down Trudy's Trail and come out down at the tennis courts. And there's a new trail now linking that Trudy's Trail across to Upper Bayview. So yeah, I wouldn't do that math. It's probably not accurate.
Okay, point taken.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, a lot of detail. Great report. Must be fun writing.
Always.
Yeah, to John.
I just have a quick question. Would the E. coli spike in kind of September to beginning in November be more indicative of heavy rainfall? That's when I clearly remember a lot of boil water advisories. And can you confirm the last time we had a boil water advisory?
That would be before my time here. So probably 2015, 2014, somewhere in and around there.
So that's great. Excellent. Thank you.
And E. coli does correspond to rainfall as well, because more is washed through the forest into the creeks.
Yeah, and I appreciate because there's nothing worse than leaving the house in the morning and coming home to a boil water advisory sign, knowing that you've been drinking the water all day. And it definitely took its toll for the first several years that I lived here. So I do appreciate that good work. Thanks, Nye.
Thank you.
Now, could we do that chlorine test if it's that simple? Because there has been caffeine too, sorry. And I assume that not all hikers are decaffeinated drinkers. Decaf drinkers.
It would be interesting.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that.
Because there has been, I've heard from many people questioning whether, the hikers going through the watershed are impacting our water quality.
Yeah.
A simple way of confirming it one way or the other, or we get an idea and first we can confirm. Be interesting to know.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. DeJohn?
I was just gonna say that it came in a little late to be included in this agenda, but we did get a very positive letter from the medical health officer in respect of the report, who indicated that the report is excellent and showcases continued efforts by the municipality toward maintaining and improving water quality throughout the distribution system. And cites our ongoing commitment to operational measures such as staff education and training and preventative maintenance and all the upgrades we've been doing. So high praise from those to whom we provide this information for confirmation of acceptability.
Thank you very much. Any further comments, questions? No? Call the motion. All those in favor, Ms. Member is saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Jaffer. And last one up again, Mr. Jaffer, I think this is your request is to receive the correspondence. Response to I'm sorry, I'll read it. That the information report above ground pressure reducing valve station correspondence be received for information purposes. I'll put that forward. Councillor Cunliffe, be it second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the report, Mr. Jaffer. Council, any questions? None. Councillor Abbott?
Yeah, I do. My health one to go first for once.
No, it's fine.
First of all, so we're receiving this report, but I assume it's going to be part of another discussion in the future when we come to make, next time we come to make a decision on these PRVs, and the data will be coming back to us, I guess.
Yeah.
When it comes back to us, I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to understand as part of that discussion. The first one is, how often do we need to access the PRVs?
Typically, we access them once a month.
Okay. So I think we're factoring the additional 3 hours and the additional person when we're doing those. It's good to know, how frequently it happens.
Yeah, so that's at regular time. We have also alarms on the SCADA system. So there are times where we have to enter the stations after hours. And in that case, you're paying 3 individuals the premium rate to access those stations. Essentially, anytime there's a pressure fluctuation and the PRV starts to chatter, we need to go out and we need to inspect and make sure everything's okay.
Okay. Thanks. So yeah, when we it's good to understand what the cost impact is based on how regularly we have to access them.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we need to do that analysis now. I just think when we come back and review how to make this decision, we should quantify all of those things. The operability part of it as well.
So, as part of the redesign for the Upper Bayview Place Center Road water mains that was approved, there is a PRV station that requires replacement in that project area. ISL will be shortly putting out a survey asking all the residents about questions, concerns they have in the area, not just about the PRV, but traffic, etc. And there will be a robust section on PRVs, above ground and underground. And they will address all the issues and put together a report for us. And it will also form a portion of an open house later in the fall, a virtual open house. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for people to review, discuss, and get information from engineers.
So were you referring to the Bayview Drip project?
No.
Upper Bayview.
No, this is the Upper Bayview Place and Center Road water main and road and drainage design that was approved.
Okay. But there's also one on the Bayview Drip project that is current design is above grade, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Is more than him? He's not? Two? Definitely. One really obvious one on that happen being.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's timely that we're going to have some public feedback and discussion about this, and we'll be bringing a report back to council about this.
Okay. My other question is there's two chambers. So from memory, the first time we discussed this, and I asked you the question, well, what if we just left them underground and replaced like with like? What would that cost of that be? And you said a fraction of the cost of upgrading to, for SCADA system and so on. And so in my mind has always been, well, what if we just use the same chamber, added some instrumentation, so we have some way of remote monitoring, but left it in one chamber. Now we're getting told in this report, for the first time I've realized that you can't do that because you need two separate chambers, because if the one low pressure side is shut down and you're working on the high pressure side, you're in danger, so that in separate rooms. But then it made me think, well, how's it different in an upper and in an above ground? In an above ground, we have both of them in the same chamber, in the same room.
Correct, absolutely.
So, exploding bolts above ground is going to kill you just as fast as one below ground.
Absolutely, but WorkSafe BC doesn't classify an above ground station as a confined space. So you don't need 3 people to maintain it. It's open. You can maintain it in the open.
But here I'm focusing on just on the second chamber aspect.
Correct. Yeah. So essentially what WorkSafe is saying is you have to isolate the dangerous substance. And in this case, it's high pressure. And the only way to isolate it is while you're working on one PRV, the other one is completely shut down out of the chamber.
But how does it make any sense you can do that same proximity work above grade?
It's simply because an above ground structure is not a confined space. So it does not fall under the WorkSafe requirements.
You can get hurt just as easy. You just can get rescued a little simpler.
Bingo.
Correct. There's also, yeah, absolutely correct. You can get hurt just as easily above ground.
Thank you for sharing that piece of information.
You get paid less for it.
All right, Councillor Abbott, not the answer we want. Okay. Councillors, any other questions for?
I have one quick question. Are there certain PRV sites that seem to be more problematic and require more inspections than other, like different locations in the village? Like there's 6 that need to be replaced in front of people's homes. Are any of those cited as problematic or problematic?
Yeah, they all are problematic because they're so old. Typically a PRV station lasts about 35 to 40 years, and some of these stations are pushing 50 years.
So it's not geography.
No.
It's just simply age.
Yeah, geography does play a part because some of the pressures that we're talking about in the stations exceed, reach up to 200 PSI, while others will only get up to 120 PSI, but it's primarily the age of the stations. All
right, thank you.
So now just one final back to the WorkSafe BC. So are we being told now we cannot upgrade these simply by replacing like with like and putting in new valves?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that we can do that. My understanding since we were written up by WorkSafe BC is that we cannot replace them with a like for like station and meet WorkSafe BC compliance.
Yeah, well, I think we should, before we have the next discussion, we should get that confirmed that there are no other measures that will allow us to take. I don't know, leach fields or, I guess, can you isolate the other line further upstream or something? I think we just need to make sure we've considered all the possible options, even if it does create additional operational hassle for you. Because that.
Yeah,
that-
absolutely.
Of course.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think this discussion is really good and the village is going to replace PRVs sooner or later. And this discussion is actually kind of valuable. And Mr. Jaffer, you've done a report, and I think you would agree that for a fresh reader, the discussion we've just had here is kind of valuable stuff to flesh out your report a bit more, so the same questions are asked by potentially new council members. So,
Yeah, so as I was saying to Councillor Abbott, this will be included in a broad public forum that will come up shortly when we start discussing the Upper Bayview Place Center Road water main design, because there is a PRV station. This report will be linked, as will the questions that were asked and the answers tonight as well.
okay, thank you very much. Call motion. All in favor, confirm by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Carried.
Aye.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mr. Jaff. Reports, I have none, councillors.
I had an addition, it was a brief
Bear
update or discussion with respect to Bear Smart matters.
I thought that was new business. New business, that's fine.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had added it as number 5.
Let's take it number 5. I'll take it 5. That's fine.
Okay. So I had asked one of the bylaw officers to provide me with a brief update report on summarizing basically the Thursday night rounds that he'd been undertaking for the last month. Looking for early putouts of garbage and organics and recycling. And so I've distributed to council the findings from that. And it's pretty low. We're doing pretty well. 0 on some nights. On others, 1 instance of early recycling. Spoke to the resident, resolved, not a repeat offender. The other one, 0 instances. June 30th, 0 tickets issued, 1 instance of early recycling. Spoke to them, etc. My intention is to dial back those Thursday evening rounds. It does impact the Friday schedule, and I'd like to continue, however, to concentrate on the Friday morning rounds by the bylaw officers, concentrating primarily on potential bear conflicts or sightings, etc., during the garbage pickup window and organics and recycling. But I just wanted to bring this forward. Find out if anybody had any other comments or questions with respect to it. And I can also advise that on the weekend, on Saturday, there was a young bear that was trapped and removed by the Conservation Officer Service up on Timber Top. And that wasn't included in what's reported, but I thought I'd share that as well. So yeah, that was mostly it. The other aspect that I did want to bring up was we've got there's been some discussion about what kinds of initiatives we're going to undertake with Meg Toom and in conjunction with bylaw officers, education wise, auditing of the garbage putouts and so forth. We do have there's the door hangers that are used in Squamish, for example. If there's wildlife in the area and they want to advise residents in the area, they've got these door hangers that they go around and put them on people's doors. Or alternatively, if they see wildlife attractants or improperly stored solid waste, then the backside of the hanger has information about what they're supposed to do, what the bylaw requires and why. So one of the things that kind of occurred to us was, in terms of the limited budget that we have to operate on, I didn't know whether the plan was to distribute these widely or only when there are particular incidents involved, and then bylaw and Ms. Toon would go out in the community, or because if it's a case of just primarily auditing what people are putting out at the street side, then we could print off something as opposed to sending it to a printer. The question is the question is really, do we need a door hanger kind of thing? Do we need to get a printer to print, or can we do it more inexpensively by printing it ourselves? But if it needs a door hanger, we need to send it out, I think. So just a few thoughts, questions.
Yeah, I'll shoot first. So, Canada Day, obviously, I've got to spend several hours with Meg, the two of us stood behind the table, and discuss quite a few things of what you just mentioned. The door hanger thing did come up, but I think we could do it more economically, do it lines better way than slip a piece of paper under the door and hang it.
Tape it.
But the one thing we discussed was that there's few new National Committee members are volunteers, few new volunteers, and a third that would like to join us, but not until the fall, around September. I think what I'd like to do is we could make it early in the day if we need to and find the right day. It doesn't have to be at night. But I think I'd like to have a short meeting with Meg and bylaw. Josie was also going to say that I spoke to her a little bit. She's pretty switched on both bees and bylaw. And then introduce these two new members, share some of the other data we've got and stuff we've had, but that should inform the decision. So I'd like to do that, and then out of that meeting, maybe we can decide exactly what the next steps is as to audits and where to go, and some areas that we noticed that are still warm, hot spots and cool down, or still warm, and everything issues may be. So that's what I'd like to suggest.
One of the reasons I'm bringing this up now is because Mr. Jaffer is going to be heading out on holidays, and so he sort of looking at, I've got limited time. Do I work on this, get it all set up for a printer, or are we doing something different? And that was part of the reason why I wanted to bring it up today.
And when's not? No, when are you away on holiday again? Sorry, did say earlier.
I'm off from the 15th to just after the August long weekend. So I'm back on the Tuesday.
Okay.
I think it's 2 weeks and 1 day.
Okay, so I don't believe there's any suggestion we change the schedule for pickup. If that's one of the things you think we should be looking at.
Well, primarily thinking, do we need to get this set up for a print job? Or
Sounds like we can do it more economically.
Yeah, do it in the office, I think we should just assume we can just do it more economically.
Do it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Tape it to the
Someone
door.
has to follow it well. Track it the other day. Done that before. As to bylaw Thursday evening, so you're suggesting we're going to keep the early morning Friday session. You want to pull back on Thursday evenings, the Thursday night session.
Yeah, because that's, we're starting earlier on Friday to sort of monitor and react when there are issues. in the field, so to speak. And, you know, we've got 2 officers but that's a long day and parks are open late now. And so, yeah, it's.
I think obviously we start early enough on a Friday morning, someone puts something out the night before you can see it. Unfortunately, it's something more than recycling the bears got into. That's where the problem comes in, but I see the numbers and it looks like we pretty much found bad actors that were doing that and education's happened.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of the odd bit of recycling now. And typically I hope it's clean, so it's not a big issue. I wouldn't like to, I would hope we can still do some sort of odd random Thursday night thing. So we just, you know, announcing as we still working on Thursday nights. But maybe just adjust the schedule to get the best bang for the buck. I'm okay with that. Yeah, we wouldn't like to abolish Thursday nights completely. But I think that's the right.
Yeah, we could probably still do some random ones, keep people guessing.
Yep.
Okay. Right, that's all I had on that.
Oh, and I have one other question for you. So you said this bear, young bear, was trapped and removed on temperature.
Yeah, they've gone into the house.
Do you know the outcome?
No, I don't know where it was moved to. I presume relocated.
You presume, no.
Yeah, I don't have the details, so I didn't talk.
They've gone into someone's house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that report. The conservation reports website isn't reporting on Lion Bay for some reason. Maybe was going to get into it, find out for us, because it should be there. And there's like literally nothing. There's nothing, actually not literally. There's nothing on as a last week.
But is that because it's all going to the local committee?
No, they're getting reports.
Okay.
No, they're getting lots of reports, but they're not. For some reason, their website's not open.
I don't.
Oh, I mean, this is another example that they can't remove the bed. It's not on
right.
For some reason. Anyway, maybe knows someone there. She helps set up that reporting system. Okay. She's going to look into it, but there's no reports there for now. Oh, they received plenty of reports. Probably not as many as we got, but they have received reports.
Councillor Abbott, you can follow up with Chris on the bear. And he would know where.
Yeah, I can call Chris. Yeah.
We can do that.
No, I've got a note to call.
Yeah, it send us all a note. I know we're interested. So thanks a lot. Mr. John, are we good on this one?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Moving on to reports. I have nothing. Councillors, anything? No. Kudos to Councillor Abbott for Canada Day participation and doing 2 of the booth, you and your spouse. So thank you very much. Committees, Board of Variance meeting. Is there any other committee work anybody wants to talk about? Nope. Nope. Good. Thank you. Board of Variance meeting June the 1st. This is for information and happy answers. So let's move on. Next, emergency services. Just out of curiosity, we have a meeting before break. Mr. John, I don't think it's on my calendar. If it is,
no, I got to touch base with Mr. Fulcherson.
We'll leave that with you then. Thank you very much. Resolution, and the motion is that, or the resolution is the request that council grant an extension to noise bylaw number 283/1998 to allow for events with amplified sound between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 p.m. at the Village Hall in 2022. Councillor Cunliffe, will you put that forward?
Yes.
Councillor Bain, will you second?
Yep.
Is this a little catch up here, DAO, or?
Yeah, I think it had to do with some upcoming events, house concert events in the hall coming up. And we kind of looked at this and thought, well, if it's in the hall, you know, rather than come back to council every time there's an event in the hall, that's our facility. This is more of a blanket any events in the hall for the balance of this year, just go ahead and provide for the exception for the noise bylaw, for these hours.
Thank you very much. I can only hope that there are many events. Councilors, any questions? Pretty straightforward. Yep.
Should you get any consultation with the people in the condos? See how they feel about it, or is this an issue with them?
I don't think so. That being said, I can't recall any noise complaints in the past for events in the hall.
I don't think I've heard of one ever from there. I mean, they would certainly be writing.
Or walking across the street, registering their complaint in person.
Right.
Or participating in the event.
Yeah.
Most likely scenario.
Would complain and end up partying.
Councillor Abbott?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's that consultation for. We put in the village update that council has considered this. Relaxing noise bylaw for events in the hall. In the future.
Do we have an event between now and our next meeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm not up to speed on what's coming up, but I believe there's a couple of concerts coming up.
How about we grant?
Why don't we do it between now and the next meeting, and then there's an opportunity. Why
don't we grant until the next meeting?
Yeah.
And then you do a mail drop or something like that? Do it a negative?
Sure, like
Come forward
communicating to the SPAT units, you mean, or to further afield than that, or
I would say
up here?
maybe over
No.
on the other side. No, the noise from the bridge or
The creek is pounding everything out.
yeah. No, maybe just the condos directly across the street. Seems like they'd be the only one directly affected.
But could we do a trial basis to the end of the summer and then assess and make it permanent if there's no complaints or no legitimate complaints?
So this one was suggesting we do it for events between now and the next meeting, and then see what we hear.
If it's nothing, let's just go the rest of the year.
And maybe it's 10 houses in the first 2 or 3 up and down. But get a mail drop.
I was just thinking if we could have some quiet people over the summer and then a big do right after we agree to it. That's what I was just thinking, a longer trial period.
I guess the thing is, and maybe I just.
It is only until 11 p.m.
Looking up the village update and seeing what's coming up. But
I think you're right. There's something coming up.
I know there is, I'm just not sure of the dates. I just wouldn't want it to be like, oh, it's on the 27th.
Remember, it's
And, you know, like the answer is no. They would need to know now.
Are
If
we
not,
assuming these
prior to
are
that.
events that are Lions Bay House concerts?
Well, that's the only ones I'm aware
Can
of
we-
that are coming us.
Break protocol and ask tomorrow right now because she's still in the gallery.
It's July 16th, Saturday, July 16th, and it's Tia Brazda, which is a jazz. She played the Vancouver Jazz Festival, the Victoria Jazz Festival, were her last concert in BC before she returns to Toronto. And it's a 6-piece jazz combo.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you,
Mara.
Tara.
Okay, my corporate secretary. So I'm sensing an amended motion here. And that amended motion would be that
Call.
the village hall until the next council meeting.
Yeah.
And then we'll see it again after you've done the mail drop, CFO or CAO, sorry, demoted you. If that's fine with you, all in favor, council, confirm by saying yes.
Yes.
No, thank you. And we'll give you discretion on where you send the drop around, but more is better. Thank you very much. Next one. And I see a MIABC voting delegate piece. And is this where we're appointing council members?
Yeah, so it's they usually request principal person to be the voting delegate and 2 alternates if you so choose. They didn't have anybody on the list, and probably because, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think any member of council has ever attended the MIABC annual general meeting, with the possible exception of former Mayor Burr may have gone once. But other than that, I don't think anybody has. So what would you like to do?
I'll be the primary if nobody else wants it, and I'll ask 2 councillors to be the backups.
Where do they meet and how often?
This is for their annual general meeting.
Oh, sorry, that's the annual meeting.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be in person this year. I'm not sure if there's an online component to it, but sorry, I don't have that.
Show of hands.
It's really giving me a problem here.
You go.
We could use
Not respond.
we can twirl a pen and figure it out in a second.
I don't know.
Go down as the.
I was just, we
Councillor
on that list.
Councillor Barmere is first alternate.
Show up or pay the price.
I'll be the second alternate. I might be interested if I see the agenda.
Well,
but I've got a feeling not.
I think you're good. I think you're good because you're 3 deep. So,
Okay.
okay, there we go. Thank you very much.
But I'll hold it against.
And there we go. So the motion is that council appoint Mayor McLaughlin as voting delegate for the Municipal Insurance Association of BC, MIABC, the acronym, for the upcoming 2022 MIABC annual meeting, and that council appoint Councillor Barmere and firstly, and Councillor Abbott secondly, as alternate delegates for the Municipal Insurance Association of BC 2022 annual meeting. I will put that forward. Councillor Connell for the second.
Second.
Call a motion. All those in favor, please confirm. Carried, thank you. And I'm sure
Now that-
Councillor Barmere appreciates
Now that we vote, I'd just like to say what a bad form we nominate somebody who's not in the room.
Well, you know, it's Councillor Cunliffe is doing his correspondence right now, so.
There we go.
There you go. Councillor Cunliffe, you have correspondence. Thank you. If I can assist you. In fact, these are all external general correspondence. And my recommendation is to receive them with no action.
Well, the first one, I think we should respond.
They're just asking for support at the UBCM.
Oh, yes, okay. And then
As are the other ones.
I just wanted to highlight, it wasn't actually on the correspondence list, but this report from the right person, the right time, the right place was fascinating and really highlighted the need for a complete overhaul of our seniors care. And it sort of goes into play with the Township of Gibson's passing a resolution to support hospice. I believe they announced this at the House Sound Forum, a very minimal dollar value per resident, but that will go into hospice care in their community. And it is something that is highlighted throughout this report as well. So anybody in the gallery who's listening, we're all going to end up here. No one is escaping this. And it's really a sobering look at aging in place and how we actually do treat and respect our seniors in our communities, and really brings in to show the way that First Nations families treats their elders, and we could take a page from that. So
Thank you very much. Motion to receive the correspondence. Thank you. I'll second. Carried. Done. Thank you very much. Next piece before we go to the cameras and public questions and comments. We've got some gallery members. If somebody would like to come forward, please. If there's a couple, put your hand up. If not, you can unmute and we'll go with you first. Tamara?
Just to follow on what Jamie just mentioned, I think for Lions Bay to encourage any and all activities that help keep you mobile is incredibly important. I don't know how many people can stay in home when they lose their mobility. It's quite tricky. So it's just something to think about when we're crafting new programs and activities for the good folks of Lions Bay. So for instance, the Hiking Society is really important, but perhaps somebody can't do the hills anymore. Maybe that there's a group that just does, you know, a circular route just on the roads or up and down Mountain Avenue, or I know that it's informally done, but perhaps we start looking to formalize or promote them and support them in some way moving forward, because I think that's an excellent suggestion, Jamie, just looking at what other communities are doing and bringing forward activities that promote aging in place and wellness and mobility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara. And to say that we're all tickled that you're starting your concerts in the hall would be an understatement. Thank you for your enterprise and welcome back. Anybody else in the gallery? I don't see anybody. Last call.
Missed new business.
Sorry, I missed new business, but bear piece was what I had. Certainly.
The meeting, council meeting.
Thank you. I crossed out the wrong one. Thank you very much. Let's just stop on public participation and we'll go back to new business. I apologize to everyone. For a variety of reasons, it's suggested that we move council's next regular scheduled council meeting from 2 weeks today to 3 weeks today. And that day is
July 26th.
July 26th. Councillor Cunliffe, will you put that motion forward?
Yes.
Councillor Abbott, will you second?
Yes.
All motion, all those in favor, please confirm by saying yes.
Yes.
Carried. Good. And last call on the gallery to participate. Otherwise, we'll say good night and we'll see you in 3 weeks. And in fact, that's what we will be doing. So good night, everybody. Thank you for coming and good evening.
I'm going to make a motion to close.
Oh, sorry, last time. I'll put forward a motion to go into closed. Thank you. Second, carried. All in favor? Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's 9:47. Council has come from the in-camera portion of the meeting back to public. And I've got two things to advise you of. First is that council, during the in-camera session, addressed the strategy with respect to preparation for the forthcoming Metro Planning Committee meeting on Friday. And secondly, I am putting forward a motion to reconsider the June 7th Metro 2050 Regional Growth Strategy resolution. Can I have a second?
The acceptance of Metro 2050.
The acceptance of the Metro 2050.
And the June 7th meeting.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Abbott. Any discussion? None. Call a motion. All those in favor, yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Corporate officer, we will switch you from CAO. Can you give me the wording that we want to have for accepting our names?
So the impugned motion of June 7th, 2022 that you are now reconsidering is as follows: that the proposed Metro 2050 regional growth strategy bracket Metro Vancouver Regional District Regional Growth Strategy bylaw number 1339 2022 and bracket be accepted as presented pursuant to section 436 of the Local Government Act.
Thank you very much. Will you so move, Councillor Abbott?
I'll second.
Councillor seconded. Any discussion? None. All in favor, confirm by saying yes.
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 Carried. Thank you very much. Motion to, that concludes our business this evening. Motion to close. Councillor Connell, thank you. All in favor? Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Good.